Today's book review is on Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. Now, this is my fourth Jane Austen book. It's actually her first published book, so I kind of went in a weird order. But right off the bat, like I usually do, if you haven't, without any spoilers, if you've passed by the book and were kind of interested, I'd pick it up. It's a good read. If you enjoy Jane Austen's writing, like most people know Jane Austen obviously for Pride and Prejudice. If you enjoyed Pride and Prejudice, I'd say you'll enjoy this one for the most part, just as well as Pride and Prejudice. I actually, my personal opinion, believe that this book has better. Out of the three I've read, has the best. Three others I've read has the best character building for our main character. The book is a tad bit long. The version I have, the signature edition. I did try to get the Penguin version, like I have the other three, just to have like a little collection, but it just never showed up. I don't know why. I went to Barnes and Noble's like 5 different times over the span of a couple months, and it just never happened to show up there. So I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna get this one, give it a read. It's about, I think this one's exactly 360 pages long, this version. I don't know if other versions are shorter or longer. So if you're thinking about picking up the book, I'd recommend getting it. Now for the more spoiler section, we're actually talking about the story. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would initially. Initially I wasn't so sure because, to be quite honest, I really enjoyed Pride and Prejudice. It's actually the book that made me start reading classic literature. But as I read the other Jane Austen novels, I found her style of writing to become a bit, I don't want to offend, I really don't, but a little stale in the manners in which her style of writing conveys like emotions, tragedy, and it gets a little, I mean, writers have their style. It's just, this is her first book, so maybe it's not fair, first published book, so it's not exactly fair, but I just wished it had changed. Given that, I would say, I think I mentioned this, Sense and Sensibility definitely has the best main character, which is Eleanor. She has obviously this spoiled section, so I'm guessing you've read the book, or if you haven't, there are 3 sisters: Eleanor, Marianne, and Margaret. Margaret really isn't part of the story. I thought she would be initially on the offset, even though I guess looking at it now, there's 2 girls on the cover instead of 3. I thought it'd be a 3 character story, but it's more like a 2, with Eleanor being the 1. I think Eleanor's growth and just her style of holding everything together, her own emotions, Marianne's, her mother's, all the guests and acquaintances they make, having to deal with all of them, I'd say was really impressive. And as the story went on, her being rewarded in the end with being able to marry Edward like she wanted to, I think was great. I wish it had been done a little better. I think the twist of Lucy marrying Edward's brother out of nowhere was a little odd. Not odd, a little, again, I don't want to offend, a little cheap. I wish it was performed a little better, but it is really rewarding for Eleanor and as a reader to see her be happy because, again, she's given all her emotional and mental strength to her sister, her family. And yeah, I think in my opinion, she's the most well-developed main character from the other 3 I've read. Now, Marianne, I thought initially was going to be the main character, but I kind of realized through her initial encounter with Willoughby that she wouldn't be, because we're not getting her internal thoughts so much. We're getting more Eleanor's description of what's happening with Marianne and Mr. Willoughby. So I think that's how you say his name. So that at that point, I'm like, okay, so I think Eleanor's the main character. Besides that, Marianne is very emotional, like pendulum, like, um, and I think she's the middle child. So initially, the book describes it as, I think describes it anyways. Eleanor has the sense. Marianne is sense and sensibility, and Margaret is just sensibility. Well, and that's why I thought it'd be a three-person book. So it's kind of like Goldilocks, right? And why I thought Marianne would be the main character. But for I'd say 90% of the book, except at the very end, Marianne is just all emotional. And I think it's great for the story. It really pushes things forward. It helps evolve Eleanor's character. It also makes for a satisfying ending where, in all honesty, okay, now here's what I didn't like about the ending, and I've kind of seen myself not dislike this type of ending also again. Marianne marrying Colonel Brandon was kind of just, for me, not it. I don't know. Like, I understand that Colonel Brandon did a lot for them, but it's just, I never felt that there was like a real connection. I know in the end, like kind of like a couple of sentences here or there, like, oh, Marianne sees him this way now, or like changing her view, but it's just out, to me, it wasn't enough. Even though her first reaction was kind of a face value pretty poor reaction to the idea of getting with someone like Colonel Brandon and how those could easily be wiped away. I understand that, but there was no like real romance to the relationship to me. So that I much preferred the, before that happens, the self-determination ending for Marianne, where she decides she's going to build herself up through education to this and that, and make herself stronger and better, and almost like a model of Eleanor, because she admired her strength. And I don't know, I think I just prefer that ending instead of the game with Colonel Brandon, just for it, because it doesn't feel rewarding. I'm glad she never takes back Willoughby. That would just never fit for me either. And that's another thing. I think for Mr. Willoughby, I think he was a good sort of villain. I'd say that his confession at the end, that not to make amends, but to like straighten things out between him and the sisters, in my opinion, it was pretty weak. So for me, it started like, oh, Willoughby must go, like must go. And after the confession, I'm like, just get him out of here. It's just, it did nothing to move me. His excuses, what it seemed like to me, for his actions. Excuses, and the only reason he apologized, like Eleanor says to Marianne, or maybe she just says it to herself. I'm not sure, but excuses for just to make himself feel better. The only reason he apologizing because it eats at him that he left the situation and is in the situation as he's found himself in, which isn't a bad one. It's just not a fruitful marriage, which obviously if you've read any Jane Austen, you know how almost no marriage is fruitful except the main characters in the books. No one's ever happy. But I thought he was a good sort of villain for the book. And yeah, I think that's about it. Some parts of the story drag out, but nothing enough to bother me, really. The book, okay, it is 360. I think it could probably just been like, you could probably chop out about 60, 70 pages around there. But besides that, I would definitely pick it up. The signature edition, I got it for $10. So that's a steal for this book. This is amazing. Actually, I don't know. I should check. I don't know if they made a movie of this book. I know they have of Pride and Prejudice, but I'm not so sure about this. Overall review or score, I'd give it 7.5 out of 10. Now, no, I'll give it a 7. I give it a 7. No, I don't even remember what scores I've given any other book I've reviewed. I'm kind of gonna redo everything, not redo the reviews, but like my scores, be a little more harsher because I kind of realized I've been propping up books a little too much, and it doesn't leave room for like actually amazing books I will read or have read. So I'm gonna do that. But a 7 out of 10 is great. It's good. It's a good read. Passing by. Nothing too serious. If you like Jane Austen's writing, you'll love this. If you never read Jane Austen's writing, this is a good introduction. I will say, if you read it and don't like how the sudden twist of romanticism happens at the end for main characters, it does get better in the later books. Some of them, not Emma. I'm sorry, I'm picking on the Emma, but it's probably my least favorite of the bunch. Even though I think Northanger Abbey is usually people's lowest rated. This has a similar kind of, not sudden twist, but just not satisfying romance twist. But obviously, Pride and Prejudice, in terms of like developing the romance between characters, number 1. In terms of developing the actual main character, number 1. The most fun for me, honestly, was Northanger Abbey. It's kind of just like a silly book, and I kind of really enjoyed that. Emma, not bad. Like I said, I don't want to pick on the book, but it's go watch my review on it. It's missing a actual like issue, which is like that. Like this one kind of doesn't really have an issue either, but this one's like a silly, goofy. The main character is just like a goofy person. This one, it's just I really like Emma the character, but there's just no issue. It's just like a non-issue book. So yeah, there's that. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Stay.